Hey, what's going on, guys? JTK here. Welcome back to another video. In this one today, we are doing another tier list video. Now, I know that my first tier list with maps got a bit of attraction with it, so I'm going to try doing that again, but this time with the Easter eggs. Now, for this one, we only have the Treyarch maps down here in terms of Easter eggs, and there aren't that many because the World at War maps don't have any Easter eggs or anything like that, so we're not going to be including any of the World at War ones, but other than that, though, this is pretty much all the Easter eggs I think that are in Treyarch Zombies, and we're going to be doing these Easter eggs based on just how fun they are to do, if the steps are, like, super annoying, and overall, like, with the boss fight as well, like, the ending to the Easter egg is very important. That ending cutscene as well is also very important. There's a lot of things that go into making a good Easter egg, and, yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Alright, and first up on our list, we have Buried. Now, with Buried, it's a very fun Easter egg to do. It kind of feels like an adventure throughout the Wild West and whatnot. I really do like the sharpshooter step towards the end, and it does give you different outcomes depending on what like side you do in terms of the super Easter egg with Victus maps and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. Overall, though, its shining factor is that sharpshooter steps. So for that, I'm gonna put it at the top of great. I do think it is a really good Easter egg, a fun Easter egg to do if everyone on your team knows what they're doing. It is actually a really fun Easter egg to do. And yeah, that's Buried. And next up, we have Call of the Dead. Now, Call of the Dead, this is one of the maps that was first introducing into Easter eggs and whatnot. It was a Black Ops 1 one. It came after Ascension, and with Ascension, is a very, I don't know, kind of bad map. We'll get to that one soon. But with Call of the Dead, it did step it up a bit. There's a lot more fleshed out steps. What I do really like about Call of the Dead's Easter egg is that it gives you a Wonder Waff at the end every single time you kill George, which is a pretty unique, cool feature that we haven't seen in later games or in previous games before that. And so for that Easter egg reward, it's going to go into the top of good tier. Other than that, though, I wouldn't put it above Buried because Buried just has better steps overall that are more fleshed out. Call of the Dead is still kind of in those early stages of trying to develop into a good map. And next up, we have Transit. Now, with Transit, I'm going to go right away and put it in the hell no. But, yeah, Transit, its Easter egg is obviously one of the worst. It's very annoying to do, having to light up that pylon with the jet gun, and then just all the steps could be done very easily if the map was a lot smaller and easier to reach to. But it just seems like a time crunch almost because you're just trying to get EMPs out of the box, and then once you have that, the Easter egg isn't really that hard. It's just a time thing. So for that, it's gonna go into the here no. But yeah. All right, and coming up next on our list, we have Voyage of Despair. Now, Voyage of Despair, it's not as bad of an Easter egg as people think it is. There are some annoying steps, like the planet step can be very overwhelming and hard if you're pretty new to it. That one is pretty difficult. Other than that, though, I do really like the outlet step where you have to get certain catalysts to unlock an outlet area, and then you transport to different areas and just do like a little lockdown thing in those areas. That one's pretty cool. Doesn't have much to do with that Titanic, which is a little disappointing. But if you just look at it as a zombies map with an Easter egg, it's actually not too bad. It also has like a really good boss fight as well at the end with the Eye of Odin. And for that, I'm going to put it at the top of good, just right above Call of the Dead. I know that might sound very criminal, but I really don't think Voyage of Despair is that bad. The only real step that I can think of is that planet step. Even the step where you have to line up the clocks in the beginning of the Easter egg isn't really that bad. Other than that, though, yeah, Voyage isn't that bad. And coming up next, we have Revelations. Now, with Revelations, very disappointing map, really. It's kind of just a recycling bin in a sense where most of the steps are just taken from other maps and just smashed together. The whole get 3 things and put them around the map is kind of taken from Zetsubo, and that's kind of like the whole purpose of this Easter egg is to just collect 3 reels, play them around the maps, and then you kind of do a quote-unquote boss fight. The first part of the boss fight I do kind of like with the Margwas that you have to kill, and then the arena's changing as you're walking through it and whatnot. But the second part is literally just Shadows of Evil 2, but a little bit, I guess, innovated on. As a spectacle, it does look pretty cool, but towards the steps, it's not really that fun to do. Plus, it did take like 2 weeks for this Easter egg to get solved because of that stupid rock step they had to do. It was just kind of a time crunch thing, and it was very disappointing for the end of Black Ops 3. So for that, I'm gonna put it in the bad tier. All right, and coming up next, we have Alpha Omega. Now, Alpha Omega is very similar to Gurad Krovi in the sense where you go to a computer, you get a ton of challenges, you do those challenges, and then you enter the boss fight. But the reason Gurad does it better is because those challenges are more focused around the map and not as annoying compared to Alpha Omega. With Alpha Omega, most of the challenges seem forgettable. The only one that I can remember is the crawler one where you have to get a red crawler and transport them to a window. That one was a really annoying step to do. Other than that, though, I could hardly remember what the rest were. It just all kind of seems forgettable. Plus, you don't even really need the wonder weapon for this map either. They really tried to copy and paste the Gurad Krovi effect with this one, but it kind of fell flat, especially with the kind of lackluster boss fight like the Avogadro. Doesn't really stand up to something like the Dragon or Nikolai from Gurad Krovi. So for that, I'm going to put it also in the bad tier. Alright, and coming up next, we have Horizon Jack. Now, you may notice that I deleted the average tier that was below bad. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to go, like, above bad, but it just didn't look right, so I just removed that tier all entirely, so now this is the fire that we're dealing with. But Horizon Jack, it's a really fun Easter egg to do. If you want to get into the more hardcore Easter eggs, I would definitely recommend to do Horizon Jack first, especially if you have Black Ops 3. I would definitely recommend to just get Horizon Jack as the DLC, because it's kind of a map for everyone. Hardcore players like this Easter egg, and casuals even to some extent like the Easter egg, because it's not too hard, but it's not too easy either. Only complaint that I do have with this Easter egg, however, is the whisk step. That whisk step that you have to do twice is very annoying, because the first time it's alright and cool, innovative, and then the second time it just kind of feels redundant and not necessary, because you just have to go back to get one piece to do the whole keeper step at the end. It does have one of the best boss fights ever, though, which is also really cool. The keeper boss fight is one of my personal favorites. I like the mechanics with that boss fight a lot. So for that, I'm going to put it at the top of God tier. And that's going to be our first God tier map as well. And coming up next, we have Origins. We're getting all cool maps out of the way with. So Origins, it's another really great Easter egg. It's more for the hardcore audience, though. I know that the speedruns for this map have gotten ridiculously fast now. I remember back in the day, like, sub 1 hour was considered God tier, and now people are breaking that, getting like sub 40, which is ridiculous. But Origins, it's always a really fun map to do. The only really thing that I have a complaint with it, though, is that most of the Easter egg is just building the staffs. When you're done building the staffs, the rest of the steps can be done in like 5 minutes. And for that, it can be really tedious to build the staffs every single game. It just kind of seems like a time crunch where you're just running around doing random things and puzzles. And that's kind of what an Easter egg is supposed to be. But with Origins, it's to the full extent. It's like a huge mission that you're on, huge adventure, really. But other than that, though, Origins is kind of what started Easter egg speedruns, and is kind of what made Easter eggs famous for the future games like Black Ops 3 and 4, and even where we're at right now with Cold War. So for that, I'm going to have to put it in the God tier. Alright, and coming up next on our list, we have Ancient Evil. Now, Ancient Evil, as you guys know, is my top 3 favorite map. Probably my personal favorite map of all time in Zombies, period. And the Easter egg definitely is what holds it up for me in that term. So the Easter egg, it's, I would say, better than Horizon Jack and Origins in a way, because it utilizes all of the different gauntlets in a different way. Like, you have to use the wind one to line up the arrow to shoot at the egg to open up a portal. I know that all sounds really stupid, but it is fun to do. And then you also need the Gaia one to unlock that time trial thing, so you can insert in times for the electric zombies and whatnot. All of the Ancient Evil steps just feel right in a way, and it does have a sharpshooter step similar to Buried, but I like Ancient Evils more because it utilizes the wonder weapons instead of just your normal gun, and it just seems a lot more epic in that way, especially because you're standing in a coliseum while doing it. While I'm Buried, it's kind of just like random areas on the map. And so for that, I'm definitely going to put Ancient Evil above Horizon Jack and Origins. I know that sounds crazy, but I just love the Ancient Evil Easter egg, and for me, it is better because it utilizes the 4 elemental wonder weapon stuff better than these two maps over here. Alright, and next up we have Shadows of Evil. Now, Shadows of Evil, Again, another phenomenal Easter egg map, especially if you're the hardcore players. If you're not hardcore, probably not going to be one of your favorites, but if you are a hardcore player, speedrunning this map has become ridiculous, especially right next to Origins and whatnot. They're both kind of like ridiculous speedrunning maps for hardcore players, and the Shadows of Evil Easter egg is just fun to do in general. All the steps kind of just are setting up on the map. All you have to do is get the Pack-a-Punch, get the Specialist Weapon, and then that's pretty much it. You upgrade the Specialist Weapon, and then you do the Flag Step. Everything just kind of flows together neatly, and that's kind of why I like Shadows of Evil, because the majority of the Easter egg is just getting set up on the map, and that kind of shows how hardcore the Shadows of Evil map itself is, because setting up is doing the Easter egg pretty much. And for that, it is going to go in the God tier. I'm going to place it right up. I'll place it right below Origins. I don't think it's better than Origins, because Origins kind of revolutionized speedrunning and Easter eggs in general. Shadows of Evil is a part of that, but I do prefer Origins more than Shadows of Evil. Alright, and next up on our list, we have Dead of the Night. Now, Dead of the Night, personally not one of my favorite Easter eggs. I don't like how there's so many different part locations for the silver bullets, and then you also have the tally step with all the tally marks that you have to remember and whatnot. There's just way too many spots on the map that you have to remember, and it's just, the majority of the Easter egg is just a scavenger hunt in a way. Some things that I do like, though, is the night step, where you have to pretty much follow these knights around the Pack-a-Punch and fill them up like their soul boxes. And then the boss fight at the end is also actually like really cool. I like some of the mechanics. It's similar to like Horizon Drac in a sense. Other than that, though, I don't really like Dead of the Night. The only thing that kind of makes up for it is the spectacles and whatnot. It all feels kind of like a Clue map, which is pretty cool, but definitely not one of my favorites. And for that, I'm going to put it in the bad tier, just right above Revelations. I don't think it's horrible, but I don't think it's a good Easter egg either. Alright, and coming up next, we have Gurod Krovi. Now, Gurod Krovi, it is a really great Easter egg to do. I do have a few problems with it, though. The valve step is very, very niche and not necessary. I think Easter egg steps where you have to go look up something online are stupid. And the valve step kind of requires you to do that, so you can fill up this like code searcher thing and put in certain codes and whatnot, which is it's just dumb. But other than that, though, I think Gurod Krovi isn't too bad of an Easter egg. I really like the boss fight at the end with Nikolai and the dragon. It's a really cool spectacle. Unfortunately, you can kill those two bosses incredibly fast if you have a ray gun Mark III or a minigun. And other than that, though, I do really like the steps. I like how it integrates killing zombies with doing actual Easter egg steps in a way that no other map does. And it is a very huge step up from Alpha Omega in that sense, because Alpha Omega, the challenges are kind of just not really challenges in a way. They're just random tasks that are annoying. With Gurod Krovi, though, they are actually like hard challenges to do, and it can be a difficult way. But other than that, though, I'm going to put it in great, just right above buried. Alright, and next up we have Blood of the Dead. Now, Blood of the Dead, it's not as bad as people say it is. I know Lex says this is the worst Easter egg of all time. In terms of story, it's definitely one of the best. I like all the cutscenes with this map were put into huge detail and whatnot. In terms of that, it's definitely in the God tier. But it does have some gameplay issues that I want to go over. It is very difficult. Sometimes it just feels completely unfair because some of these steps are like really, really buggy and whatnot. Other than that, though, the steps aren't really annoying, so to say. They're just really, really difficult. And I think that's kind of what Treyarch was going for, so that they can have like that opposite effect of Mob of the Dead, because Mob of the Dead's Easter egg was just way too easy. And so they wanted Blood of the Dead to be the exact opposite of that in a way. And they sure did accomplish that, because this Easter egg usually takes like 3 to 4 hours to complete if it's your first time through. And other than that, though, I don't really hate the Easter egg that much, but I can't put it anywhere higher than a good. So I'm going to put it at the bottom of good, just right below Call of the Dead. It's not the worst Easter egg. It's not even close to a bad Easter egg, I would say. It is challenging, and that's kind of what draws away a lot of the casual audience and whatnot. But if you're a hardcore player that loves doing zombies Easter eggs, Blood of the Dead honestly isn't too bad. Alright, and coming up next on our list, we have Die Rise. Now, Die Rise is very similar to Transit in the sense that you're pretty much just filling up a pylon so that you can do the actual Easter egg for Victus, which is buried. Now, with Die Rise, I don't really like much of the steps at all. Like, even the Easter egg steps themselves aren't really easy to follow. Like, people to this day don't really fully understand how like those tile steps work towards the end, where you have to match up these tiles in different directions and whatnot. Still to this day, I see that people don't understand how that step works. And then you also just have some really dumb steps, like where you have to shoot this statue like 100 times with the slicker fire. It just doesn't make any sense, really. And it's kind of an example of what not to do for an Easter egg. When you're doing an Easter egg, it should make sense and be fun to do. And Die Rise fails both of those. So for that, I'm going to put it right behind Transit. I do think out of all the Treyarch zombie maps and whatnot, Die Rise is definitely the worst out of all of them. Alright, and coming up next on our list, we have Mob of the Dead. Now, Mob of the Dead is the exact opposite of Blood of the Dead, where Mob of the Dead is really, really easy to do, and Blood of the Dead is really, really challenging. Now, what makes Mob of the Dead really cool is just the story behind it, the spectacles and whatnot. You're pretty much just kind of living through a cycle of misery, pretty much, where you're just trying to fly to the Golden Gate Bridge and escape. And I don't know. I don't really like Mob of the Dead's Easter egg. I don't really hate it though. In terms of gameplay, it's just kind of meh. But in terms of story and atmosphere, it's definitely up there with some of the greats. So for that, I'm going to put it right behind Buried. It could have done better with the steps because it is just flying to the Golden Gate Bridge like 5 times, and then that's pretty much it. But other than that though, I do really like it, especially towards the end with the, I guess, boss fight you can call it, where you have to kill the Weasel or the Weasel kills you. And depending on what you do, it either breaks the cycle or the cycle continues. That's pretty cool and all. But other than that, though, Mob of the Dead, not really one of my favorites, but I do really like it and I appreciate it for what it did. Alright, and coming up next, we have 9. Now, 9 is the other really good map in Black Ops 4. I wouldn't say it's better than Ancient Evil. I do have some problems with 9. There is one step where you have to like line up your wonder weapon, the Scorpion, and you have to shoot these tiles that are scattered around the bottom area, and you have to like chain shoot them. And it's just annoying because sometimes you'll be standing in like the exact position that you're seeing on like a YouTube tutorial, and then you'll just miss, and then you start getting really frustrated. That step can be annoying. Other than that though, all the other steps kind of make sense, and that's kind of what all these other maps fail to do. In 9, I never questioned why I'm doing these Easter egg steps. It kind of all connects with the map in general, and I think that's why 9 is really successful in terms of that. But other than that though, I wouldn't say 9 is one of the best either. It's just good, and for that, I'm going to put it in great, just right above Buried. One thing that I do really like about 9 as well is the ending boss fight with the elephant. As a spectacle, it's similar to Gurad Krovi in the sense where it is very easy to do, but it looks amazing from that point of view. But other than that though, I don't really like 9 too much as Ancient Evil, but I do appreciate it and I do really like it a lot. And for that, I'm going to put it in the great tier, just right behind Gurad Krovi. Alright, and coming up next on our list, we have Moon. Now, Moon, it's one of those maps that's very luck dependent. And what I mean by that is that you have to get a lot of the things out of the box. There's a lot of RNG components. And this Easter egg, you can either finish in like 20 minutes if you're really lucky, or it can take you like 3 hours if you're unlucky. You need the Gersh devices twice if you're in solo, the QEDs, the wave gun, and then you also have to get the right excavator to break open the right tunnel at the right time. And it can all just be very luck dependent. But past that, it does have a really great ending. Simon Says is a really fun, relaxing step to do. I would say if you are just starting off Easter eggs, this is one you should definitely start with. It is just really fun to do. If you're speedrunning it though, it can be incredibly annoying and a nightmare. But if you are just playing the Easter egg for fun, it's really a great Easter egg in my opinion. It does have one of the best endings in any zombies game ever. And so for that, I'm going to put it in the great tier just right behind Mob of the Dead. Now, next up on our list, we have Ascension. Now, Ascension, it was the first Easter egg ever, and of course, it came with some flaws. Obviously, it's another luck-based dependent Easter egg where you have to get a lot of different things out of the box, like you need the Thunder Gun, the Ray Gun, and then I also think you need the Gersh devices as well. Just another luck-based thing, and you need 4 players to complete it as well, which you only need the 4 players for one step, which is to hold X on telephones scattered around the map. Other than that, though, everything else can pretty much just be done solo. You just interact with a couple of things, and then you shoot the crap out of a ball, and then that's pretty much it. Very underwhelming, but it's the first Easter egg, so I don't really expect much from it. So for that, I'm gonna put it in the bad. I'm gonna put it right above Dead of the Night, though. It's not horrible. It's close to good, but I can't put it in good up here with Call of the Dead and Blood of the Dead. So for that, I'm gonna put it in bad, just right behind these guys, though. Alright, now coming up next on our list, we have Shangri-La. Now, Shangri-La, this is how you do 4-player Easter eggs properly. With Shangri-La, you need all your players to be collective and thinking on the same page level. The step where you have to like stand on those tiles and match them together, you definitely need a lot of communication for that. You also need communication for opening Pack-a-Punch, and just doing pretty much anything on this map requires all 4 players to be focused at the same time. And I do really like that because it's engaging and it requires a lot of communication from your team and whatnot. Other than that, though, the Easter egg is really fun as well. I do like Eclipse mode and having to constantly go in between those two. It can be hard if one person on your team doesn't really know what to do. But if you're playing with a full squad that knows what they're doing, it can actually be a really fun experience. So for that, I'm going to put in the good category right above Voyage of Despair. I don't think it's better than Moon, but I do really like it, especially with the story as well with Brock and Gary. That's just a really fun side story to just read through and whatnot. It's just a very fun map to play through. Can be annoying if you don't have a good team, but it is just a really all-around alright Easter egg. Alright, and coming up next, we have Zetsubo. Similar to Revelations in a sense, where you're just collecting 3 things, but on Zetsubo, the majority of the Easter egg is just trapped behind doing all of your challenges for each teammate. Once you're past that, the Easter egg is actually pretty simple to do. You just get your specialist weapon, you use it on a couple walls and whatnot, and then you're pretty much set for the rest of the Easter egg as long as you have the KT4. This is the first map, and I think the only map that has 2 boss fights. You have the Mama Spider, which is pretty cool, and then the Takio boss fight itself is a bit underwhelming, though. Other than that, though, I don't really hate Zetsubo. It's another one of those maps that it's like, I'm fine playing it once in a while, but it's not one of my favorites. So for that, I'm going to put it in good. I'm going to put it right below Shangri-La. I would rather play Shangri-La with a good team of 4 players than Zetsubo just by itself. Alright, and the last map on this list, there's no Cold War maps. I'll go through that in a minute. But Togder Toten, it's the last map on BO4, and it's pretty much like the map that ended Ether, so it's best that we finish off this video with this one. Togder Toten, the Easter egg steps themselves are pretty fun to do. I don't really like much of the other steps, though. I don't really like the quote-unquote boss fight. It's just you're following some random urn around while the map changes into like a floor is lava kind of scenario, which is pretty cool, I guess, but not personally one of my favorites. The steps are kind of just basic and whatnot. For the last Ether Zombies map, it felt very underwhelming in the sense of it's just being really basic in a way, where nothing really blows me away. So for that, I'm going to put it in good. I'm going to put it at the bottom of good, though, right above Blood of the Dead. I do think it's better than Blood because it's more, I don't know, casual friendly, but it's not that great of a map. I would play it again, though. It is fun to do from time to time. The ending is very sad and whatnot, but it is just shown on a PowerPoint slide, so it's not really captivating compared to Blood of the Dead in that sense, but I do like the gameplay mechanics in TOG just a little bit better than Blood. Alright, now looking back on this list, I realized that there isn't any Cold War maps, so I'm just going to put them imaginatively up on this list. I would put D Machine, Firebase Z, and Forsaken all in the good tier. To me, they're not really that great, but not really bad either. The purpose of those Easter eggs was to kind of just bring in a new audience, especially D Machine. After we lost a huge portion of the community back in Black Ops 4, Treyarch's next plan was to just bring in the multiplayer and Warzone community to just get their eyes on zombies for the first time. So that's all the kind of purpose that they served. Their boss fights aren't really that good either. Like Orloff isn't really a boss fight, and it's easy to beat because you can't die. Other than that, though, they're not bad, but I just don't really like them. And I would put Mauer to Toten in the great, though. I would put it like right between Mob of the Dead and Moon. I do really like Mauer. It's more of a fleshed out Easter egg, and you do gotta kind of think through most of the steps and whatnot. It is a great spectacle, especially towards the end when you have to kill the, I forgot what it was called. I think it was like the Atom Unit or something like that. I forgot his name. But yeah, how he has to like kill himself to blow up that portal and whatnot. that was all pretty cool. But I do really like the boss fight on Mauer as well. Mauer to Totem's boss fight is just a great spectacle. It's also really challenging as well. It's kind of like Rising Drac or the Eye of Odin from Voyage of Despair, where there's multiple stages and whatnot. And it can be challenging because there is an instant wipe attack on that. So yeah, if I were to rank the Cold War maps, I would put all of them in good, and then Mauer to Totem somewhere in great. Anyways, guys, it's gonna wrap up this video for today. We can just look at this tier list real quick. I know it might come as a shocker to put Ancient Evil above everything in Call of Duty Zombies, but I do really love Ancient Evil. It is one of my favorite Easter eggs. My most favorite Easter egg, probably. Just all the steps make sense. It's all fleshed out fully, and it utilizes the 4-window weapon dynamic a lot better than these other maps. But yeah, I would say this is the best and correct tier list in terms of Easter eggs and whatnot. And yeah, if you guys did enjoy, definitely leave a like, subscribe, do all that. Leave a comment if you want to see me do anything else. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.